our MCQ3 examination, and you know you're going to face the examination MCQ3 in the coming days, right? And this period is allotted for you to clear your doubts. At the same time, we are going to discuss the relevant points here. Okay, so let me give you a clear cut idea from right from the simple, complex, compound sentences. Okay, you need to identify a simple sentence, complex sentence, and compound sentence. So you listen carefully. Okay, what is a simple sentence? As you all know, see, what is a simple sentence? As you all know, a simple sentence consists of one subject,
one
one
predicate,
predicate, and
one
one
finite
finite
verb.
verb. Okay, one subject, one predicate, and the predicate consists of one finite verb, right? Am I right, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So you can see, if you divide that one single sentence into different pieces, you cannot see any conjunction used in that particular sentence, because we are normally using a conjunction to combine two different clauses or two different equal clauses or unequal clauses to make a long sentence, right? So it is not a large long sentence, it is a short sentence. Okay. So a simple sentence is a very short sentence in English grammar, where you can see only one subject and one finite verb, and this finite verb, that part of finite verb is called a predicate in it. Okay. See, children, so I have a few examples for you to identify a simple sentence. It is easy. Okay, it is starting with, it is exactly like a declarative sentence. It can be negative sentence, it can be positive sentence, no matter what it is. Okay, see, so sun is a star. Look at the sentence, sun is a star. Okay, there you can see the sun, that is the subject of that particular sentence. Is a finite verb which shows the tense form. Sun is a star. Okay, a star is an object. So you can see a subject, and is star is actually a predicate of that sentence, and is an auxiliary verb. But in this particular sentence, it shows the tense form. So we have to label it as a finite verb here. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes, ma'am.
simple sentence consists of, or it is starting, all the sentences are starting with a capital letter, and it can be ending with a full stop. Okay, so remember, a simple sentence consists of only one subject. It's a short sentence. It has only one verb in it, and you cannot see more than one verb in a sentence. Okay, if it is simple sentence. If it is simple sentence, it is not possible for us to see an additional verb in it. There won't be any second verb. There is only one verb in a simple sentence. Okay, so I request some of you to give me some examples for a simple sentence. So I'm moving to Sian Fatima. Sian, my
Yes,
dear,
ma'am.
can you give me one example for a simple sentence? Don't worry, this is a revision. We are actually revising the portions which we completed and which is there for the MCQ3. So I
Okay,
want
ma'am.
your responses. If you don't know, you can tell me frankly that, ma'am, this area I am not that much clear. So could you please explain this area? I'm ready to explain that point. Okay. So children, Sian, Fatima, you tell me now the example for a simple sentence. You're sitting in complete darkness. I cannot see you very well. Sian, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sian, switch on your lights.
And the lights are on. This computer has a problem, so
Okay, fine.
the
Okay, I can
camera is
understand.
always
I
dim.
can understand. No problem. So tell me one example for a simple sentence, Sian.
Ma'am,
Simple sentence example. Sian. Sian, can you hear me? I think you have some issue with your audio. You are saying something, but it is not clear for me. I cannot hear anything. So I'm moving to Namasya. Sorry, Sian. I'm moving to Namasya. Namasya, tell me one example for simple sentence.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
this is a boy.
This this is a boy. He is my friend. Okay, this is a boy. He is my friend. Two different. And my name is Namasya is another example for a simple sentence. My name is Namasya. Okay, I am 10 years old, 11 years old is a simple sentence. Okay, another example. Anthony Vijo, can you tell me another example? Anthony Vijo. Anthony, can
He
you?
is
I want an
playing with
example
his
for a
friend.
simple sentence, Anthony. Very
He
slow.
is
Huh?
he
What is it?
is playing with his friends.
He is playing with his friend. Okay, friends. He is playing with his friends. So I want another example from Geetika.
I will not come tomorrow.
I will not come tomorrow. All these are the examples for a simple sentence. Okay, a simple sentence, it is in the form, it can be a statement. It can be a question. It can be an exclamatory sentence. It can be an imperative sentence. Okay, so simple sentence consists of one subject, one predicate, and with one finite verb. You are familiar with all the 4 kinds of sentences, isn't it? 4 kinds of sentences. Let us start from simple sentence, the 4 kinds. Okay, the simple sentences are divided into 4 kinds of sentences in English grammar. Okay, the first one is called the declarative sentence, second one is imperative sentence, third one is interrogative sentence, and the fourth one is exclamatory sentence. These are the 4 kinds of sentence. There are 4 kinds of sentences and 3 types of sentences. Okay, so these 4 kinds of sentences are coming under the first type of sentence called simple sentence. Okay, where you can see all these sentences are, or which has only one subject, one predicate, and one finite verb in it. It can be a question, it can be a shouting, it can be a commanding, it can be a statement, it can be both negative and positive statements, or positive and negative questions, whatever it is. Okay, so remember, a simple sentence, it consists of 4 kinds of sentences. Declarative, which is also expressing, or we are using the sentence to express a statement. Declaration, we are using to make a declaration. It's a statement sentence. It can be negative statement or positive statement. Milk is white, milk is not blue. Okay, milk is white, milk is not blue. See, one is positive statement sentence, the other one is negative statement sentence, right? And such a sentences are called declarative or statement sentences in English grammar. First, you remember, a sentence is starting with the capital letter, and in 4 kinds of sentences, the punctuation marks plays a very important role. Okay, so if it is a statement, if it is a declarative sentence which ends with a full stop. Clear? Declarative sentences are clear for you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it is a statement sentence starting with a capital letter, ends with a full stop. Okay, remember the punctuation mark very well. Second one is called imperative sentence. Okay, second one is called imperative sentence. You know that we are actually using these imperatives to express our anger, or our fear, or our love towards someone, or I can tell you, if we are scolding someone, that anger it's expressed through this, or can, if we want to give an advice, okay, if we are raising any suggestions, as you all know, you're familiar with imperatives in active and passive voice also, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
imperatives are, or it is used to express a command, order, request, etc. Okay, so imperatives, as you are all clear that imperative sentence, the subject is always hiding. Okay, we don't know the subject of an imperative sentence, but remember, you is also, you, the pronoun, second person pronoun, is actually the subject of an imperative sentence always. Okay, we are not mentioning, or we are not starting our normally we are not starting our imperative sentence with the subject you. We just hide the subject somewhere, and we normally start our sentence with a verb. Okay, that is the major difference between, or that we can distinguish an imperative sentence from declarative sentence. Declarative sentence, it is starting with the subject, but in imperative sentence, generally we are starting with the verb. Give me a piece of chalk. Give me a piece of chalk. The subject of this particular sentence is actually you. So you give me a piece of chalk. Okay, as you is hiding, we are starting our imperative sentence with the verb give. Okay, so this is how we can identify a declarative sentence and an imperative sentence so easily. Declarative sentences are starting with the subject, imperatives normally starting with the verb. Okay, and that also ends. We can use 2 punctuation marks with an imperative sentence. Okay, we can use an exclamation mark with the imperative sentence. Most commonly, we are using a full stop at the end of an imperative sentence. Okay, fetch my umbrella. Fetch my umbrella. No? So fetch. Fetch is an action word. So normally an imperative sentence is starting with the action word. It's a verb. Okay, where you can see the subject you is always hiding somewhere, or always hiding behind the bars. Okay, am I clear? Imperatives
Yes,
are
ma'am.
clear for you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next one is interrogative sentences. As you are familiar with the interrogatives. Okay,
Yes,
interrogative sentences are, you are thorough with the
Questions.
interrogative sentence. These are, we are using to
Question.
ask questions, right? We are
Yes,
using
ma'am.
to ask questions. The questions can be two types, right? Yes or no questions and
Or
WH
WH
questions. No questions are starting with the auxiliary verbs. You are familiar with the do forms, have forms, and be forms in English grammar, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So normally, if you are expecting an answer from your friends in the form of yes or no, you can begin your yes or no questions with an auxiliary verb. Okay, with an auxiliary, it can be have forms, it can be do forms, it can be be forms. Okay, so such a questions are ending with a question mark. I'm telling you, without a question mark, a question cannot be said as a question. Okay, if you forgot to put a question mark at the end, you will not get any marks for an interrogative, as the punctuation mark is playing a very important role there with the interrogative sentence. So put a punctuation mark, a question mark at the end of an interrogative sentence. So yes or no questions are normally starting with the auxiliary verb. Okay, you can also begin your sentence or a question with the modal auxiliary also. Secondary auxiliaries and primary auxiliaries, you know them very clearly. So you can begin your your question with secondary auxiliary verb if you're expecting an answer either yes or no from your friends. Okay, at the same time, you can see the second type of question called WH question. You are very clear, WH questions are starting with WH words used in English grammar. What, where, when, which, how, how long, how far. Okay, all these are the who, whom, and all these are the words. But remember, this who and whom are exceptional cases in active and passive voice interrogatives. Okay, you know that we know that WH questions can be used in the same place to begin your passive voice sentence, but at the same time, there are two exceptional cases, who and whom. In active and passive voice, who becomes whom, right? By whom, and whom becomes who. So remember this point also. You please break this in your mind. Okay. So children, so these are the interrogative sentence. Why do we need to use a WH question to ask a question? If we are there to collect some information about someone, if we want to collect someone or some clarification or some information, but if we are expecting a particular answer from the listener, you can use these WH questions. So to gather information, to gather a collection of amount of information from the person who is listening to us, so for collecting it, we are using WH question, and we are expecting particular answers to the questions. Okay, so and remember, WH questions and yes or no questions are ending with question mark. Okay, so these are another simple sentence, another type called simple sentence interrogative. Okay, and the last simple sentence is exclamatory sentence, where you can see the presence of an exclamatory mark at the end, exclamation mark at the end. Okay, so you know, you are familiar with the exclamation mark, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We are using this exclamatory
Yes,
sentence to
ma'am.
express our sudden emotions, sudden feelings. So to express such a thing, we are using an exclamatory sentence. And remember, we have a bundle of exclamatory words in English, right? In Malayalam, as you all know, in Malayalam, we used to say that ayyo, amme, oh, who, and all, right? The same way, we have a bundle of words in English grammar or English language also. So the words like exclamatory words, they are called, or interjections, they are called. And these are wow, hooray, alas, oops, such words. Okay, you are familiar with these words, right? If such exclamatory words or interjections are there in an exclamatory sentence, you begin that exclamatory word with a capital letter, and at the end of the exclamatory word, you please add the punctuation exclamation mark, and you can begin the rest of the sentence with a capital letter and ends your exclamatory sentence with a full stop. Clear? So if there is a use of exclamatory word in a sentence called exclamatory sentences, remember, put exclamation mark after the exclamatory word, and your rest of the sentences can be begin from the exclamatory sentence with a capital letter. And remember, you must put a full stop only at the end of the sentence if there is a use of exclamatory word in it. If there is no exclamatory word, like what a beautiful girl, there is no exclamatory word. Okay, so there at the end of the sentence, Nihal, Nihal?
Yes,
Nihal,
ma'am.
you are not paying much attention here. I think you are feeling sleepy today. Go and wash your face and come back. Go to the washing room and just wash your face and come back. Switch off your video. Go and wash your face and come back fast. Okay, so if there is no exclamatory words, or if there is no interjections in a sentence, you can put the exclamation mark at the end of the sentence. So these are the 4 kinds of first type of sentence called simple sentences. Okay, so remember, a simple sentence can be a declarative sentence, it can be an interrogative sentence, it can be an imperative, or else it can be an exclamatory sentence. So all these 4 kinds of sentences are coming under the first type of sentence called simple sentences, where you can see only one subject, one predicate, and it is with one finite verb. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I
Yes,
clear?
ma'am.
And the second one, the second type. So we have covered 4 kinds of sentences, and we have covered the first type of sentence called simple sentence. Okay. The second one, remember we have the second type of sentence called complex sentence. Okay. Complex sentence. What do you mean by complex sentence in English grammar? Are you familiar with the complex sentences? You are thorough with the clauses. Okay. So let me start from clause. Okay. What is a clause, Smriti Ramesh? Can you define a clause, Smriti?
Ma'am, a clause is a part of a sentence.
Excellent. This is very important. Remember, clause is a part of a sentence. It is not a full sentence. We are calling it as a short sentence. At the same time, it is a part of a sentence.
Ma'am, it may or may not have a...
Yes. Yes. Carry on.
Ma'am, it has a finite verb. It may or may not have a non-finite verb.
Fine, fine. So remember, a clause contains a finite verb in it. It has a subject and it has a finite verb in it. Okay, in a clause, it is just a part of a sentence. And sometimes if it is a main clause, we are calling it as a short sentence. A clause can be called as a short sentence in English grammar. Remember, a clause has a finite verb in it. Okay, you can see a finite verb, and you can, even if you search for a subject there, you will be getting a subject from a clause. Okay. Okay, so we have 2 set of clauses, which is called a main clause and subclause. Okay, main clauses, it is completely independent. India got independence, free. It can stand in the form, or it can stand alone. It does not need any support from other sentences to gain complete meaning. But it is, as it is, a main clause is complete. Yes, someone is asking me something.
The main clause has a it is complete on its own.
It is complete on its meaning. That is important. It is complete. That is why a main clause is called a short sentence, because it has a subject, it has a verb. Exactly, it is a part of a sentence, and we can call it as a short sentence also. Because it is independent, it can stand by itself. It is not depending other part of the sentence to gain a complete meaning. It is already with a complete meaning in itself. Okay, so it is called a main clause. At the same time, there is another set of clause called a subordinate clause. You are familiar with subordinate officers, right?
Yes,
These
ma'am.
subordinates in military and your other defense areas, you can see that these subordinates always wait to get the command from the superior officers. If they command, then only they'll follow the superiors and they will do the work. As the same here, the subclause is always depending upon the main clause. For what it is depending? If it wants to get a complete meaning, to get a complete meaning, the subclause is always depending upon the main clause. Okay, it cannot stand by itself in complete meaning. So it always needs a support from the main clause to gather or to get a complete meaning. Okay, so we have 2 clauses. One clause is called main clause, the other clause is called subclause.
Close.
Yeah. One can stand by itself, the other one cannot stand by itself. It is always depending on the main clause to get a complete meaning. And it is easy to recognize, or it is easy to remember, or it is easy to trace the subordinate clause from a sentence, because a subordinate clause is always starting with the subordinating conjunction. Now, let us jump into the conjunctions. What are conjunctions, children? What are conjunctions in English grammar? Conjunctions are called joining words, right?
Words.
Right? If you want to join 2 names, Raju and Radha are the cartoon characters. Okay, so Raju the name, two nouns. Raju the name and Radha the name. It is connected with the conjunction and. I can connect two words with and, the conjunction. I can connect two sentences. I can combine two sentences. Okay, I can combine two clauses to get a new sentence with the help of a conjunction. So we have two set of conjunctions. First one is called, remember, you have identification of types of sentences this time in the question paper. So you need to learn it thoroughly. You have to by heart the coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions at the same time. So children, remember, we have the coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions. What are called subordinating conjunctions? As I have told you, we are using these subordinating conjunctions to join the clauses of what rank? Unequal rank. What do you mean by unequal rank clauses? One can stand by itself, one is always depending the other. Okay, one is main clause, the other one is a subclause. To connect main clause and to connect subclause, we are using a conjunction. Such a conjunctions are called subordinating conjunctions in English grammar. Okay, and these subordinating conjunctions are examples. All the WH words in English grammar are subordinating conjunctions. Where, which, when, why, and all. Why, Namasya? Very happy today. Ma'am is taking all conjunction. Ma'am is going like a rocket from earth to moon. She is wandering everywhere. She is like, I am just rushing behind her to get some idea. Is that the reason for you to laugh? Namasya?
No, ma'am.
Then tell me. Let me also laugh for a moment. We are also a little tense today. So to get relieved from the tension, you crack the joke. Let us enjoy it together. As the class need a break in between. What is the joke, Namasya? Could you please crack here?
No, nothing. My sister just jogged, so I just laughed.
What was the joke she said? She cracked the joke. Who is your sister? What is her age? Elder or younger? Oh, my little thing. This poor thing cracked a joke. Then after saying, how are you? What is her name? Namasya.
Naumika.
Namika. Naumika. Okay, let Naumika to tie her there on the chair with you. And after hearing grammar classes, definitely she'll run away from the class. Okay, so just tie her and force her to sit with you. Okay, listen carefully. Yeah, Naumika, this is time for revision. Don't disturb your sister. I have a request, my little poor thing. Just send her to the kitchen. Tell her to help her mother. Okay, listen, Namasya, listen carefully, and let us begin again. We have the subordinating conjunctions, and we are using, see, remember, it is easy for us to identify a main clause and subclause by looking at the subordinating conjunction, because the subclause is always starting with these list of subordinating conjunction. As I have told you, the subordinating conjunctions are WH words, that, then what else? As if,
even if, though,
although, even though. So you have the list, right?
because.
You have
Yes,
the
ma'am.
entire list of subordinating conjunction, and I have told you to search in the systems and search for to get maximum number of subordinating conjunctions from here and there, right? And these subordinating conjunctions are used to combine. Someone is calling me. Who is calling me?
Ma'am,
Yes, Ananya.
Ma'am, either and neither.
Either and neither are coordinating conjunctions. Ananya, either and neither are coordinating conjunctions which you can use to construct a compound sentence. Okay, so children, listen carefully, and we can construct or we can combine two clauses of unequal rank. One is in main clause, the other one is subclause. If you connect this main clause and subclause with the help of a subordinating conjunction, and we can call such sentences as complex sentence. So subordinating conjunction is equal to complex sentence. Subordinating conjunction is equal to complex sentence. And you are familiar with the fanboys, right? The list of conjunctions which are
Yes,
actually
ma'am.
labeled as fanboys in English grammar. Apart from this fanboys, I have given another list, right? And so, or else, or else, either or, neither nor, then, otherwise. These are the separate list. Okay, apart from this fanboys. Fanboys, F for, A for and, N for nor, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, S for so. Apart from this fanboys, another list is called and so and so. 3 coordinating conjunction. And is one coordinating conjunction, so is another coordinating conjunction, and another coordinating conjunction is called and so. Okay, so and so and so. Next set is or else, or one conjunction, else is another conjunction, and another one is or else, or else, or else. Okay,
And you're telling coordinating conjunction.
Coordinating conjunction. Along with the fanboys, you need to by heart this also. Either or, neither nor. These are the another coordinating conjunction. Please make sure that you have written everything in the paper. Either or, neither nor, otherwise. As well as. All these are coordinating conjunction. If you see any of those along or in a long sentence, you can label such sentences as compound sentence. Okay. So in a compound sentence, you can see the presence of coordinating conjunction. Compound coordinating conjunction. Complex subordinating conjunction. Okay. Complex subordinating, compound coordinating. And simple sentence, you cannot see any conjunction used in it. And you can see any 4 kinds of sentence in the form of a simple sentence in a group of sentences. Okay, so is that clear for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you please go through the notes which I have given and the exercises which we done in the class also. Please go through everything, and you have identification of simple, complex, compound sentences for the exam. Identification of the voice. Now let us come into the voice now. Okay, what do you mean by voice, children? Why do we need to use a voice? What is the real meaning of the word voice? Sound. You may be saying that it is sound. What is voice?
Ma'am, sound, but in grammar,
Voice is a term used to describe
whether it is an active or
whether it is a
Okay, where the where actually we are stressing on the subject. If the subject is active or actively doing an action, you can say that the sentence is in active voice. And at the same time, where the subject is passive, you can say that the sentence is actually given in passive voice. But it is very easy. We have 2 voices, active voice and passive voice, because the voice actually termed in this way because it is expressing, or it is used to express one single idea in 2 different ways without changing the meaning. We can also label this as transformation of sentences. Okay, this term, another term can be used for changing from one active voice to the passive voice is called transformation. We are transforming a sentence from active voice to the passive voice without changing the meaning. That is most important thing. We can express one single idea in 2 different ways without changing the meaning. Okay, am I clear? So such a sentences are called a voice in English grammar. Okay, so voice means we can express, or we can change one sentence into another, or we can transform one type of sentence into another type without changing the meaning. Okay, and we can express one single idea in 2 different ways. We are not changing actually the meaning of that particular sentence. But it is easy for you guys to identify an active voice sentence. Okay, how is it possible? If a question comes, okay, children, identify the voice of the sentence. How can you identify the voice of the sentence? Only one thing is actually helping you to identify the voice of a particular sentence. What is it? If you have 10 sentences, 5 are in active voice, the other 5 are in passive voice. Okay, so with the help of only one part of speech, you can identify, okay, this sentence is in active voice, the other sentence in passive voice. Tell me the name of the particular part of speech.
And by.
No, by is a part of speech. It is a preposition, not by. So suppose if you said, my dear, who said? Ashashuni said, ma'am, by. But look at the sentence called imperatives. Can you see a by there?
Ma'am,
Park the car. Let the car be parked. There is no buy.
Ma'am,
So buy is not necessary always.
ma'am, verb.
Yes, absolutely, you're right. Great. So by looking at the verb pattern, it is easy for us to identify or to distinguish different sentences into active voice and passive voice. Okay. So verb, if it takes the form of an if it is in the form of a finite verb. Now you are familiar. Finite verb shows always the tense form. There are 12 tense forms. If you look at the verb of a particular sentence, you just underline first. Okay, this is the verb of the sentence. If the verb is in the form of a finite verb, which shows the tense form, then that sentence is given in active voice. Okay, but at the same time, if the verb takes the form of any of the be form plus past participle form, any of the be forms are am, is, are, was, were, been and being. Am, is, are, was, were, been and being. If the verb is any one of the be form plus past participle form. Remember, past participle form of the verbs are called the third form of the verb. Write, wrote, written, writing. Okay, these are the 4 forms of a verb. Out of these 4 forms, we must use the third form of the verb in a passive voice. So if your verb is in the form of any of the be form plus past participle form, then this will help you to identify a passive voice sentence. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I clear? Do you have any doubt? So how to identify the voice of a sentence? Looking at the verb. Stressing again, if you are able to identify the verb, if the verb is in a finite verb form, then it is an active voice. If the verb takes the form of be plus past participle, then that sentence is in passive voice. This is the only keyword that you can use to identify or to recognize your sentence, whether it is given in active voice or it is given in passive voice. Okay, so when you change one sentence from active voice to passive voice, see children, when you change your sentence from active voice to passive voice, remember 3 points. Point number 1, once you identify the subject and object of your sentence, you must interchange the position of subject with object and object with subject. Am I clear? Interchange the position of subject with object and object with subject. Okay, subject goes in the place of object in passive voice and object of the active voice comes to the place of subject in passive voice. Okay, so in the point number 1, interchange the position of subject with object and object with subject. Okay, point number 2, I have told already, you know, active voice verb is in the form of a finite verb which has a tense form, right? When you convert that finite verb into passive voice form, remember, according to the tense, according to the subject, if the subject is singular, you can use a singular verb. If the subject is plural, use a plural verb. Okay, you can interchange the position of subject and object first. Second point, use the form of be plus past participle form. Verb in passive voice must be in the form of be plus past participle form of the verb. Am I clear?
Yes,
And the last and the third point, remember, you must use the preposition by. If it is a declarative sentence which has a tense form in it, then when you, after converting the sentence, you please use preposition by before the object of the passive voice. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I clear, children?
Yes,
Any doubt? Any doubt here? These 3 points.
No, ma'am.
Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So these are the 3 points that you must remember. Okay, when you convert a sentence from active voice to passive voice. And remember, there is only 8 forms. Only 8 tense forms can be transformed or can be changed into passive voice. There are some restrictions. We cannot change present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future continuous and future perfect continuous into passive. See children, we cannot change present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, a sentence in future continuous and future perfect continuous into passive voice. There is no passive form for these 4 forms. So there are 12 tense forms. Out of this 12 tense forms, only 8 forms can be changed into passive voice. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear? Okay, so declarative sentence, active to passive voice. The important point that you should remember is underline first. If you get a sentence, try to identify the tense first by looking at the finite verb, whether it is are going, or it is was going, or it is had gone, or had been going. First you identify the tense form of the particular sentence by underlining the verb. Okay, once it is identified, you can easily change that into its passive form. You have the 3 boxes of present tense, past tense, and future tense with you, right?
Yes,
See
ma'am.
how you have changed one single sentence from one type of sentence to the other type. You refer that. Okay, you check it after doing the activity. You check it. You can easily score mark for this. Okay, at the same time, you prepare well before coming for the examination. Okay, don't stick on certain notions. Okay, these kind of questions will come. No, I don't know. I have put what kind of questions, even I'm not remembering. My question paper is already set. I'm not remembering the type of question I have given, but still you need to cover all the areas wherever I have touched in the few classes. Okay, so children, please listen. Next point is listen. So now we have completed the declarative sentences and using the tense form and the 3 tense boxes, you can easily change one sentence into active to passive voice. I have noticed this class, students are always preferring to use was with the sentence. Okay, don't stick like that. You please check the boxes. If it is present tense, you can use is. If it is future tense, it is will. So use accordingly. So study the 3 tables properly before you're coming for the examination. Okay, and now coming at the end of the session today, that is imperative sentences, active to passive voice. We have 2 rules, isn't it? We have 2 rules. Okay, rule number 1 and rule number 2. Which one is easy for you guys? Rule 1 or 2? Which one is easy for you guys? First rule is easy because see, if there is no object, if there is object, if the condition of the sentence, if it is an imperative sentence, you can use a first formula there. You can apply it, okay, with a sentence with object and without an object. Okay, at the same time, if you are using let, remember there should be the presence of an object in it. If there is no object, you cannot use the second formula. Okay, the formula number 1 is you are plus. Remember, if it is an imperative sentence, you can use you are requested, you are asked, you are told, but see the pattern of questions. Okay, once you have a tendency to use you are, or you are commanded, or you are ordered all the time. Not like that. See the method of question. If there is any please or if there is any request part is there, you must use the word requested in the answer means in the option. Okay, so don't stick always you are ordered. If there is a request, if it is in the form of an advice, use advice. If it is in the form of in the form of a request, then you turn using requested. Okay, if it is a command, you use command. Otherwise, please don't stick always for you are ordered. Okay, so you are plus ordered, commanded, requested, advised, suggested. To plus be plus what is it? To be past participle form of the verb, isn't it? An object. This is the pattern for the first formula. At the same time, we have the second formula, let plus object plus be plus past participle form of the verb. So according to the right question, according to the options, you please select the apt one from the options. Okay, don't get confused all the time. So you should be thorough with the imperative sentence. If it is a command, you can use the word command. If it is a request, if there is a magical word called please is used in it, you must use the term you are requested. There you cannot use you are ordered, you are told, you are asked. What is the use? There is already a please is there. Then why you are preferring for told and asked and suggested and advised? No need. There you can use requested itself. Okay, so remember this before you're doing your exam. And the last one is called interrogative, where I have told you, you can exclude that topic this time because it is too hard for you to complete this, and I'll be including the question from interrogatives in the next examination. Okay, so this is the end of the class today. I hope the topic which we have covered is revised here, retaught here, and I think it's clear for you. If there is any doubt, you can call me between 7:30 to 8 o'clock today. Okay, when is your examination? English?
Ma'am, 18th.
18th. So I wish you, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you all the very best. I want my little ones to score the full marks. Okay, this time, remember this time English, grammar and literature separate. So one day is kept for grammar. Prepare well. You prove yourself who you are. Okay. All the very best.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.